Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the newly released Rambo: Last Blood. This is one that I've been anticipating for the whole year, and ever since it was announced that there was going to be a fifth movie in the Rambo franchise. I am super excited to be talking Rambo today, so let's get into it. Rambo: Last Blood is about John Rambo at the point of his life where he's kind of retired. Now he is this farmer, this rancher, and he has this niece who has grown up there all her life because her mom died and her dad left her. And so she ends up finding out about her dad, where he lives. So she goes to Mexico and ends up getting kidnapped by these drug dealers or whatever. So John Rambo has to come out of retirement to go and save her, but then what he realizes is that there's too many of them, so he has to kind of attack and go back to his ranch, where he kind of home alones his whole ranch to defeat all of them. This is one that it's very emotional, it's very powerful, and it actually has a very good way of ending off the movie. I really, really enjoyed this one. It was really well done. Like, I was really surprised. I thought I was going to hate this movie. Like, going into it, I thought I was going to hate it. The trailer looked good, but I mean, like, not all movies, just because of the trailers, makes that good. Another thing is my dad, he was even saying before we went to go see this movie, my dad was saying it's going to be fun to watch, but most likely is that it is going to be terrible. And we both ended up really enjoying it. Like, it just works really well. There are some problems I do have with it, which I'll get into it later when we talk about the negatives. But honestly, for me and the positives, I just really enjoyed it. I think the way it sets up the plot lines really work well. It ends off with good emotional ending, and it works very well. Like, the emotional ending, minor spoilers, but this is just not really any spoilers because we saw this part in the trailer. After he has defeated all of them, he's kind of just like shot twice and stabbed once, so he's just kind of beaten down. So he goes and sits in his little rocking chair on his porch, just staring into the sunset. Then he closes his eyes, and he closes his eyes while he is rocking, and I just think that's a very powerful way to end off a movie. Just this character who we have grown to know and love throughout all these movies since the original First Blood back in 1982, and then every story he's had up until Last Blood, where he's just sitting in that chair and he's realized that he has done everything he can do, and really he's at the point of his life where he kind of just lets go, and it's a very powerful way to end off a movie. And once it goes into the end credits, we get kind of like this nice little emotional montage of every movie leading up till Last Blood. And even that part, it almost makes you think like maybe this really is going to be the final Rambo movie. Maybe John Rambo really did die. But it kind of ends off with a little end credit scene after the montage where he's riding off on his horse into the sunset. I just think it's a very powerful way to end off a movie. It works very well. I just really enjoyed it all around, what they were able to do with this film. And now, going into the mixed aspects, anyway, that was the positives. Like, I just really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it way more than I thought I was going to. Now, I wouldn't say it's better than the original First Blood. Not really, no. But that was kind of in my positives for it. I just really enjoyed this movie. Now let's go ahead and get into the mixed aspects. And for me, the mixed aspects is because kind of just like the way that things are sort of set up here, the way that the plots kind of move a little fast. Like, that's one thing that I said in the positives, was that they had the perfect plot line set up. Like, one of the things I said in the positive was the way they set up the plot lines were so perfectly. But there was something else I wanted to say in the mixed aspects, is because just because they set up the plot lines so well, doesn't mean these plot lines were necessarily that good. Like, I feel like I'm not putting this in the negatives because it's not really. I didn't really have this big of a problem with this. I just feel like that what they did, and I feel like really what I'm trying to get out here is I feel like the plot points moved a little fast. Like, I think they did a great job of setting up the plot lines, but I feel like the plot lines moved a little too fast. Like, we got the first plot line, and it was like 3 minutes, and then we were in the next one. I just feel like they kind of move fast, and kind of takes me out of the film a little bit. Other than that, there are some really interesting things with this film. I just really all around enjoy it. Like, it works really well for me. Honestly, this is one that I really had a fun time with. Now, going into the negatives, there's quite a few things I want to touch on. First off, I feel like some of the ways that they execute John Rambo's character in this film takes me out of the film a little bit. Like, since the original First Blood, we've known John Rambo as like this powerful guy with weapons and a really cool way of defeating people. We get a perfect explanation. We get a perfect scene of that at the final battle. That was like John Rambo in full action mode. But then at the beginning of this film, the first time when he is trying to go and get revenge, he kind of gets beat up. Actually, minor spoilers, he gets beat up, and they even leave a scar on his face, and so he gets beat up. And for me, that kind of took me out of the film a little bit. Like, John Rambo was supposed to be this guy who was so powerful that no one can really beat him up, and there was just kind of like that scene in this film where he gets beat up. That kind of takes me out of the film a little bit. But then after that, he goes in the ultra John Rambo mode and then kills all of them. Honestly, for me, this is one that I was very surprised about. Now, still, it's not my favorite of the franchise, but I was very surprised in what they did with this film. For me, on Rambo Last Blood, I am going to give this movie an 80%. I thought they did a really good way of setting up plot lines. Honestly, I was really surprised with what they did in this film. That is why I'm going to give this one an 80%. But anyway, please be sure to leave your thoughts down in the comments below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Or are you in between? For me, I didn't love it, but I just thought it was a really entertaining movie, so that's why I'm giving it an 80%. But anyway, please like and subscribe if you are new. And anyway, thanks for watching, and peace out.